And we're here. We're live. Hello, Alison. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Me too.
And also, I want to just record my apology and thank you for your patience. I got so sick at the beginning of the week, and you can still kind of hear it. Like, you can hear my voice. Sorry, people. I had a head cold the beginning of the summer, and I had to push it back because I did a playback with my recording and I sounded like Darth Vader. And I'm like, nope. So we're going to push that back, please.
You're like, not the voice morph that I was going for.
Yeah. So thank you for your patience. And I'm so glad it worked out this day. So, oh my goodness, I am so excited to talk to you. So with our topic series, which is called Coffee, Briefcases, and Diaper Bags, I wanted to chat with you because I fell in love with your business through social media, through my deep dives that I do with researching and supporting local businesses that are specifically run by women, and sort of how they've gotten to that point. And for such a variety of reasons, I fell in love with your business model, as well as very much gravitated toward your personality, which comes through so authentically and wonderfully. So I want to get into all of that. And then just recently, I have to say this because I read, oh, where was I? Was it your website, social media? Don't remember, it doesn't matter. But I was going through your new post, and it was a bio of yourself.
Yeah.
And there was one part, because I know we've chatted before, but there was one part that was talking about like you love cooking and been binge watching cooking shows and all that stuff. And I was reading that while I was binge watching Iron Chef on Netflix. Yes. And I started laughing out loud.
The newest one.
Yes, I was watching it, and I start laughing, and my husband's like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, it's serendipitous to me. I said, when I know I'm gonna chat, I connect with people. I said, I think we're gonna connect throughout the years. I said, for a long time. He's like, why? I go, because I just feel her. I feel it as I'm binging Iron Chef.
I love it.
It was
it's
awesome.
True. And yeah, those connections, they hit deep, right? You're like, wait, she binges cooking. So like, we just have more in common than just trying to be
like someone that says that and like is proud of that is like it's my kind of people. It's like, yep, no, there's a kind of people that serves. I'm like, and I feel that because I just watch them. I don't know if I want to be an Iron Chef, although I do love cooking. I just want an Iron Chef to cook for me every day. That's all I want. I just
100%.
want that.
Yeah, I feel that. But honestly, it's like one of the reasons I watch those shows is I'm so willing to learn so much about cooking for no reason.
Just enjoy it.
No absolute reason. I just want to watch what they make and what they make with the ingredients that they've been given. And it's just so great. Like they're so creative, and like I'm creative in a different way. But also like when it comes to cooking for me at home, like if we haven't shopped in an obscene amount of time, I can open the fridge and make something out of nothing. And that's always been like what my parents would say about me is they're just, I think that's how I ended up just cooking for my family all the time because they never knew what they wanted. And I'm like, here, I'll just do something and it would turn out edible.
And like an episode, what's the show Chopped, when it was like, here's your ingredients, go. And like, we like trying to make fun like game nights of that when really the reality that haven't been to the grocery store. So let's just play Chopped tonight and just take it out and see what we get. It's amazing.
I play every night, just not like on purpose.
So so I was just drawn to you on so many levels. So I want to first get into, because again, we've chatted a bit before, but I want to get into the business and what it is, and it's called OhBeeHive here in Barrie, Ontario.
Yeah, OhBeeHive.
And it's amazing, right on the lakefront. But before we get into that, because we will, I would love it if you could take us through slightly prior to the business. So I believe we had chatted, so it was just before pandemic. So, which is the timeline we all use now in common language. Prior, during, after pandemic.
Seriously. Was it before the blip or after the blip?
Yeah. I won't I love it.
And then during, who knows?
Exactly. All a blur then. So prior to pandemic, so roughly 3-4 years ago, what did a day in the life of Alison look like?
3-4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, I had converted my living space into a very squishy manufacturing space. So my first year of OhBeeHive was on the dining room table at my parents' house because I had a couch in my basement and nowhere to do work, and I was working full time. I had like a career, I guess, as sorry, it's really loud.
That's okay. But you're also keeping in mind, for everyone that is listening, like you just closed today. We're doing this after hours and you're still at the shop.
After hours. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, so the background noise is like as authentic and real as it can be, as in you're still technically at work, so don't even worry about it.
And I'm downtown, so there will be at least 4 or 5 sirens going on.
Guaranteed, that's okay.
So it's pretty normal.
So you were in your parents' basement on the couch putting this together, but what was your day job? Like what were you doing at that time?
My day job was so I graduated Ryerson, a program called Geographic Analysis.
Okay.
And it was really great. I loved my program. It was a 4-year program. But I ended up like traveling for 3 years. And then when I came home, I sort of was like between serving jobs and other serving jobs. And so I got my benefits, could finally go get my teeth cleaned, and went to my dental office as like my childhood dental office. And the owner was there, and she, was asking me a few questions about what I was up to lately. And I said, I'm just serving. And I don't know, I didn't know the conversation was going to turn into a job interview, which then turned into, can you start Monday? We need a receptionist. And
that's amazing in and of itself, though. Like, that's cool.
It was pretty cool. I felt like I won the lottery when I was driving home. So
you go in to like essentially just get your teeth cleaned, and you got offered a job, which is pretty cool. And then
which was cool because at that time I was like, I need a desk job. Like I need something that's gonna give me a 9 to 5. Like, where I was serving evenings and dinner hour, and it was hard. And the situation sort of ended up that I started a desk job, I guess, at the dental office. And from there, I ended up working in dental for about 3 years.
Okay.
And then at the same time that I was in dental, I was like taking my lunches to work every day, and started making beeswax wraps and use them in my lunch bags. And then my coworkers wanted to know what they were, so I was educating them on this like plastic alternative, and they all wanted to buy some. And it became, it was that hobby that.
So the dental job started, you were there for about 3 years, and then you started bringing your lunches to work, and you were making your own beeswax wrapping and such for your lunches. But can I just say, I have to ask this question. How does one just happen to be making beeswax wraps? I mean, I'm pretty environmentally conscious, and like that has never entered my mind. So like I would imagine it's really hard. Like I don't know, but like how did you just arrive at that, even for yourself? How did that even happen?
Honestly, it was I mean, I didn't invent the product. I'll tell everybody that I did not invent it. But I had seen it at a local bakery, and the bakery was owned by my friend, and I was like, what is this product? And she was educating me on it. And then prior to me starting to buy fabric for OhBeeHive, like I already had fabric I was making zip pouches, like little zip makeup bags, and
Okay.
I was trying to sell those on the side, and I think I sold one or two of them, probably to the same person.
Okay.
And so I was sort of dabbling with like sewing, and I was like, well, this is fun. Maybe this is, a hobby that I can sort of continue on after my work hours. And yeah, so I had the fabric, and when I found out it was just beeswax and fabric, I went and picked up beeswax and thought of ways that I could get
Do
it
it.
into the fabric. And
There you go.
I mean, uh, it took 3 separate times before I was like, okay, this is how I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Uh, because I was just playing around with it and wanted to make it. It was just fun. It became like therapeutic for me um, at that time of my life, and I don't know. It
That's
just
amazing.
became a
And
thing.
again, it goes to show too, like not in the moment, but looking back, like things domino and happen for a reason, right? Like I think every step when you look back on it, it's just how it led to a specific moment when at the time you're not necessarily aware of how it's falling into place for you. So fast forward a little bit. So you're working the dental job, you're doing the 9 to 5, you're doing your thing. Yes, you're doing some, at the time, things on the side that you like doing. And that's, which we all have passions and hobbies and, things we want to learn. And then I'm interested to know, you're doing the 9 to 5. What was a trigger for you? And when I say trigger, what I mean is, what was not feeling right? What was not aligning? What was the moment where you thought to yourself, you know what? I don't know if this is what I want to, even though conventionally this is what everybody would love to have. I think, well, I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people would love to have. Um, but what was the trigger for you, or the moment for you when you're like, I don't know if this is aligning with what I necessarily see myself doing long term?
Mm-hmm. I think it was sort of like a slow process of everything that just sort of came to be.
Okay.
It didn't, it doesn't just happen overnight. But I was working. Once I started getting into retail stores, OhBeeHive was a thing. So OhBeeHive was starting to become like recognized by other retailers, by shoppers. Um, I was, doing my part in educating lots of my customers, and then uh, OhBeeHive was a thing for a whole year while I was still working in dental.
Okay.
But I think the breaking point, like I call it sort of a breaking point, where it was that moment where I was sitting at my dental office job on
Yeah.
front desk, and I was like under the table, like updating my Shopify website.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was doing that at my office, and it didn't feel right. So and also just working the desk and getting emails from retailers saying, I found your product, I'm wondering if we can wholesale. And I'm sitting there like, I want to answer these emails so bad, but I have I'm at my job, and I didn't want to email somebody at 6 or
Right.
7 p.m. anyway. So it eventually just made sense. And I didn't plan any of this. Like, I didn't know any
Right.
of this was going to happen. So yeah, it just made sense at the time. And my coworkers were very supportive of it, and they saw how it was growing as well. So they sort of gave me the encouragement to move forward with it.
And I just think it's just to note, like, it again, being nudged in a specific direction, right? Like you didn't plan it, it's just sort of how it fell. And I guess in terms of OhBeeHive, excuse me, but how your coworkers just liked it, right? Like it sort of caught on based on something that you yourself had. And then people just started liking it. And then it just kept naturally growing, I would presume, with
Yeah,
just that, right?
it did. And it was just growing so organically that I wasn't going to say no to any of the opportunities that were coming my
Absolutely.
way. Yeah, it just felt, it just felt like I could be myself. I didn't know that I was going to end up being my own boss. I didn't know that I'd be sitting in my second manufacturing space with 9 bolts of 110 meters of fabric per bolt. Like, I didn't plan any of this, but it just kind of keeps happening. So.
And can we also highlight, just for a quick second, you had mentioned how your coworkers were very supportive. So part of this series is I really want to talk about and focus on, I call it the huddle. And I heard that term from Pulling the Thread, Elise Lunen's podcast, and fell in love with this term, which is called, as women, we need our huddles. So our huddles are people in our corner that are ferociously supportive, and not just like the superficial supportive, like, oh, good job, but like deep down, we love and hate you because we're so envious or jealous or those types of things. But it's about the huddles in our lives that we need, that in order to push ourselves and in order to feel safe, in order to make a leap into something that may not make sense to other people, but is something you yourself feel like, I think I really need to try this. And you go to these groupings, women, mentors, whomever, family, friends, doesn't matter, but they're there on the really good days and they're there on the really bad days, but there's safety and support within them. So I would love if you could highlight a bit more on terms of your huddles of coworkers, like who was there even when you wanted to give up, which I'm sure at some point you're like, what the hell, like it's too much or whatever, like who was there to be pushing or supporting, and sort of the value and importance of that in this process for you?
I think at so many different stages, there's been different people that have helped me. It's never just been one exact person.
Amazing. Yeah.
But I do, I fully believe, and I'm so grateful for my parents. Like, number one, hands down, my parents. My dad was an entrepreneur. My mom was very career driven, and she saw the shift in like what was happening and how I was making it work. And yeah, and there was like a lot of stress going on at the, my previous jobs, and it's, your parents want the best for you. And they were very encouraging, and they saw that my business was becoming something pretty, pretty big, I guess.
Did you ever have a doubt? And I ask this because there's so many, sometimes I think I have so many ideas, right? Like I have so many things I want to try. And it's like, did you ever have a doubt in yourself? And I'm interested to know how do you counteract that sometimes? Because, and I'm asking selfishly, because there's so many things I feel like that's where I get stuck. It's my own self-critic. It's my own self-doubt. And how did you, for this process, say, nope, I'm doing it anyway? Like, nope. Yeah. Like, how did you overcome that?
Gosh, I actually still suffer with a lot of that doubt, and that's very normal. Like, it's very imposter syndrome of me.
Right, I feel you. Yep. Okay.
Daily, I mean, at the time, I knew, because I had the support of my parents, they wanted me to invest my energy into the business. And I knew that it just had to be done. So I didn't doubt that leaving my dental office job was, I mean, a part of me is like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving dental. But like, if it didn't work out, I could have gone back. So I always had sort of like a plan B, or had at that time, I guess. But yeah, it's just with the support and knowing, I'm motivated and I'm like pretty driven, I guess. But there are days where I question what could happen tomorrow. But yeah, I just push through. I mean, some days are better than others, and I know that other people might not realize that I've had a bad day, or that something that I made no sales, like it doesn't matter to anyone else.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know.
But it's about pushing through. And a friend of mine said this to me, and it stuck. And she said, like instead of focusing on everything, just why don't you try it for one more day?
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow, see how you feel. And then
Yeah.
see if you can go just one more day. And then the
Yeah.
next day, see if you can go one more day. And
Yeah.
instead of just, and that hit for me, and especially with my own ADD and like in terms of like anxiety and thinking of things as a whole and pressure and responsibilities, and it all comes at me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. And that's what keeps us sometimes stuck. Right.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was just, again, talking about that side huddle or that huddle. But it was like, instead of the whole thing, how about just one more day and just
Yeah.
keep going and keep doing it keep doing that. And I thought, okay, that I can do. Like, I can do that. Like, okay, I can shut up it's called the inner critic. Like, I can shut her up for a day. Like, I can,
Yeah.
that's fine. And just focus on what you're doing. She goes one more. And that's just something that, yeah, I feel like echoes in many ways what you're saying in terms of you push through what you feel sometimes, in order to just keep it going, and things fall into play that way, and the trust of that. So what I very much want to talk about is the business as a whole, because I not only am I wholeheartedly obsessed with it, because I think it's beautiful. Like, the fabric is beautiful, the idea is amazing, but I think also your excuse me, I hope I say this, your refillery aspect of the business is, it's just so culturally, economically on point. And I think this is where we need to go. I think more people need to know that it's here, that places like this exist. I think some are probably really familiar, some probably aren't, in terms of things like beeswax and going plastic free, things like refillery, and what that means and how that works, because I don't know if people even know how it works. So can you talk to me about your business mission, like the business? I mean, yes, we know about the beeswax, but the business as a whole in terms of its mission.
The business as a whole, I'm sort of like always still kind of figuring it out, I guess. But
Amazing.
OhBeeHive is that play on words where it's like, oh, behave. So
Right.
if we're, if we can behave about how we treat the planet and how we treat the environment, then it just, I don't know, it should just eventually click with them.
Yeah.
So the refillery aspect, it honestly was just, it seemed like a very natural, what can you call that? Like a natural
I guess
evolution
progression.
of like
Yeah.
how of the products that I already offer. But also all of this is an extension of myself. Like I was already shopping at refillery stores, and I was already trying to do my part. So with creating my plastic wrap alternative, that's, it all kind of falls in line with itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mission really is just to encourage others to uh, it's not to use beeswax wraps, it's to, like, let's focus on what's going on with our environment and landfills and oceans, and
Yeah.
if we can eliminate, even a little bit of plastic or a little bit of waste in our day, how that can affect us over a month, over 12 months, over years. So
Absolutely.
and I'm not perfect, but I am, all of this is again, like being that extension of myself, is that um I find like a lot of customers can relate um to all of the products that I offer,
Yeah.
because we're not social, like we can't, it's impossible to eliminate waste
Completely.
right
Yeah,
now.
absolutely.
um it's but we're all sort of getting it, and we're
Yeah.
all trying to do our part towards it. So if I can help educate, at least the people that walk through my door at my retail shop,
Yeah.
I'm a happy girl.
Well, and I have to say, like, I really do, I say this very directly, because like I said, we try as hard as we can in terms of our household, in being more eco-friendly. And I think it more and more per generation is becoming a responsibility that I think we need to understand, and our carbon footprint, and we have an impact. And the changes don't have to be drastic, But if they, like you said, if they are small and subtle, and we stay consistent, I think consistency is part of that as well. That I think will hopefully be enough to help turn things around on some level. My kids are more into, like, they're more aware than I ever was. Like, I'll eat an apple, my son will specifically say to me, "Mommy," like, I'll go into the kitchen, he's like, "You're gonna put that in the green bin?" I'm like, "Well, first of all, yes I am, but okay, but yes, I really was." And we have a garden now in the summer, so we throw it in the bin, like, and we talk about the worms. Like, we have these conversations, which, I mean, going back one generation, my parents never did. It was never something culturally, there was not that sort of awareness and responsibility that I think more and more there just needs to be. So what I really, can you explain to me, and well, me as well as others, but how does refillery work? Like, what is it, like, from your business, OhBeeHive specifically, what can I come in? What can I refill? Like, do I bring in the bottle and I just refill? What's some items and products that I can refill?
So mostly in my own shop, what I have are products that I've used in the past and that I've loved. So they're all Canadian made products. They're scented with essential oils. They're and it's not over the top. It's like toilet bowl cleaner and what have I got, like dish soap and dishwasher pods that have like a dissolvable plant-based plastic around the outside of them. So it's all just products that are very sustainable. But the idea behind refilleries in general is it is a very new concept, I would say, as of like 5 to 7 years ish.
Yeah.
And the idea is that if you run out of your dish soap from the Dawn bottle that sits beside your tap, you can rinse it out, like bring it back, bring it to me or come into the shop, fill it. Actually, I would weigh it before you fill it. Once you fill it, you're only paying for the liquid, and then you're not purchasing more packaging,
Right.
which is wasteful and plastic generally. I mean, I've never seen dish soap that you can buy in a glass.
No, correct. Of course.
Glass container up at a grocery store, wherever.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just fill up your liquids and you only pay for what it weighs. And it's sort of like bulk shopping, but yeah, you're just not using extra packaging.
You're not paying for the extra packaging either. Like, when you think about
And then
it,
paying for the packaging.
like, to be
So
economical, like, yeah, absolutely, it makes sense. Like, it makes so much sense. It's same thing with, like, no plastic bags. Like, I bring the cloth, and I'm not perfect, but I'm saying, like, I bring the cloth bags when I go grocery shopping. They sit in my truck. They do not always make it to the grocery store. They're there, and I get there, I'm like, oh man, like, you know what I mean? We're not perfect, but again, it's about making those subtle necessary changes.
And I think over time too, like since I started OhBeeHive, I have been noticing a shift in people that do bring their own grocery bags into the grocery store.
Absolutely.
I am seeing it happen, and it's awesome. I'm like, I can't educate everybody, but if we can, if somebody sees somebody else leaving their car with their reusable bags, that other person will be like, oh yeah, mine are in the trunk, and then grab them and walk in.
Absolutely. And again, like, it's
It's
so,
sort of like a ripple effect, like chain effect situation. And it's not embarrassing to bring in your own bags. Like,
yeah. No,
just do it.
and again, it's all over, like, my social media. And again, as we know, social media is, but like, what I'm seeing, the products coming out, like shampoos. So now, like, I've seen shampoos that are bars, right? With like compostable packaging, and shampoos that, body soaps where they're just bars that sit in your shower, and that's what you're using to clean your hair. I'm like, oh my God, like, it makes
And it works
sense.
just the same. It works just the same. So I even carry shampoo bars and shave bars and conditioning bars. And they're all they're companies that have been around for like 10 plus years. Like, it's not a new concept. And these companies are just doing something really great. Even this particular product that I carry, they ship it to me all in cardboard, paper packaging, paper tape, everything down to, the tape is compostable or recyclable. And if you come into my shop, you can buy a shampoo bar with no waste, no packaging. So there's refilleries, but then it's almost like being a vegetarian or vegan. Like
Right.
there's refilleries, but there's also like zero waste. Like there's an extension of the whole concept of reducing waste and packaging and that sort of thing in your life. And if we talk very extreme, there are people that very much try to be zero waste.
Yeah.
So it's, again, a new concept, and we're trying to wrap our heads around it. But I mean, it's very attainable. Like Canada is proposing to eliminate plastic bags, and that's just a start. This is like, it's countries there's already so many countries that are further ahead than us when it comes to eliminating like consumer packaging and bags and that sort of stuff. So
I just saw recently, and as soon as I thought, oh my God, I was in the grocery store. I just saw, I don't know how long it's been out. I just saw it. I presume not that long. Ziploc just came out with Ziploc compostable bags,
mm-hmm.
or sandwich bags, and like those big like freezer bags. And I went, oh
yeah.
Oh my, and like, I literally, it was a revelation at the store, and I probably look like whatever, how I looked, I don't care. But like, it was that moment where like, why was that not sooner? I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's just, there is an absolute shift, and that is happening, however slow. And yes, it is slower than I think it should be, but regardless, it is happening nonetheless. And I am wholeheartedly like just so grateful for shops like yours, in that it exists, it's there, it's about letting people know. And I do think that internally people want to do better. I think they really do. I think it's about what challenges they think they might face, like, where do I go, how do I do this, is it going to cost me more? Like there's fears and challenges that I think we think exist. And mm-hmm. I think with time and familiarity and sort of getting used to things, that awareness, that education, accessing things like OhBeeHive, OhBeeHive, excuse me. That's how you there you go. It's just so necessary. So for that, I wholeheartedly thank your whole mission for it. I really, really, even my kids, like it's something that is necessary, and I wholeheartedly send every good vibe your way, because we need it and there needs to be more of it. And I know we spoke very briefly, but there's some amazing things happening for OhBeeHive, and that is, it's expanding, which is so exciting.
Nuts. I still like I don't know how to process what's happening, but I guess in short, I've been a part of OhBeeHive has been sold at Hudson's Bay Company in Barrie for about a year now, and they have asked me to expand into like 30 or more of their stores.
How inspired is that? Go get it, girl. Like, yes.
Thank you. I know it's it's just something I haven't I'm like still processing, because I'm going from like a couple retailers a month, like restocking a few a month, to hopefully by Christmas I'll be in a good amount of HBC stores across Canada. So it's it's pretty crazy. I love it, and I'm like here for it. So
I mean, again, all starting in your basement on your parents' couch. Like, I want to emphasize that, because for people listening that have an idea or thought in their head, and
you can dream of big things.
You can really dream a big thing. And it's just maybe just one more day, just try it one more day, and just, it can happen. Like, how amazing is that it really is something that can happen. Fast forward your life 4 or 5 years later, and here you are on the verge of expanding an idea, and like a packed lunch you had at your dental office. Like, this was my lunch, and boom, here we are today. So that is, it's just so, it's so incredible. It's a really inspired thing. So can you please tell everybody how to get in touch with you? Social media, website. I mean, I'm going to put it all in the links below, but
Okay.
can you name it for, or describe it, say it, all of it for everybody at home?
Anyone can shop online at ohbeehive.ca. And then, of course, my social media is on Instagram and Facebook. I'm at OhBeeHive Barrie. And yeah, you can also shop in store at my Barrie location, which is down by the water, downtown Barrie. And soon you can find me in 30 or more Hudson's Bay stores.
Amazing. And I have to honestly say, like, it is probably one of the cutest shops. Like I can't even describe it. I said it's something out of a book. Like, it is just, it's so quaint, and it's right in front of the water, which is also beautifully stunning. So anyway, I send so many vibes, amazing positive vibes your way, Alison. I really do. So thank you so much for taking the time and chatting. Thank you so much.
Yeah, let's do this again.